The ground shook under Commander Kim Tae-ho's feet as another plasma bomb exploded near the command bunker. Red warning lights flashed across the control room screens. The sound of dying men echoed through the underground facility. "Sir, we lost." Sector 7, Lieutenant Park So-min reported. Her voice stayed calm, but her hands shook as she read the damage reports. "The enemy broke through our eastern defenses. They are moving toward the city center." Kim Tae-ho stared at the tactical display. Red dots showed enemy positions. Blue dots showed human forces. There were too many red dots and not enough blue ones. The Vorthok Empire had been winning this war for 6 months now. 17 human colonies had fallen to their biomechanical ships. Kepler 442b would be the 18th. "How many ships do we have left?" Kim asked. 3 destroyers and 1 cruiser, sir. The rest of the fleet is gone." Kim closed his eyes. When this battle started 3 days ago, he had commanded 47 ships and 30,000 ground troops. Now he had maybe 3,000 soldiers left alive, and for badly damaged ships, was trying to hold orbit above the planet. The Vorthok were not like humans. They were taller, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their technology was far beyond anything Earth could build. Their ships could repair themselves during battle. Their soldiers wore armor that could stop any human weapon. Worst of all, they never seemed to get tired or scared or angry. They just kept coming like machines. "Sir, incoming message from Earth Command," So-min said. "It's marked Priority Alpha, eyes only." Kim walked to the secure communication station. He pressed his thumb to the scanner and leaned toward the screen. Admiral Chen's tired face appeared. The man looked like he had not slept in weeks. "Kim, I know your situation is bad. Hell, all our situations are bad. The Vorthok fleet is 3 days out from Mars. We expect them to reach Earth in a week." Kim felt his stomach drop. Earth was humanity's last stronghold. If it fell, the human race would be extinct. "We're authorizing Operation Last Light," the Admiral continued. "I know we discussed this option before. I know you said it was suicide. But we're out of choices. The package is already loaded on Insertion Pod 77 Alpha. The volunteer is Corporal Lee Junwoo from your communications unit." Kim remembered Junwoo, a quiet young man who fixed radios and computer systems. Not a soldier, not really. Just a tech specialist who happened to wear a uniform. Why would Command choose him for a suicide mission? "The target is Vorthok Prime, their home world. Intelligence says it's in the Rigel system, 4th planet from the star. Junwoo's mission is to plant the resonance disruptor in their capital city. Our scientists think it might work. It might shut down their technology long enough for us to do something." The Admiral paused and rubbed his face. "Kim, I won't lie to you. This is a long shot. It's maybe our longest shot ever. But it's all we have. Launch the pod as soon as you can. And Kim, ... good luck. Earth is counting on you." The message ended. Kim stared at the blank screen for a long moment. Operation Last Light. He had read the files. It was insane. Launch 1. Man in a stealth pod toward enemy space. Hope he could reach their home world without being detected. Hope he could survive crash landing on an alien planet. Hope he could plant an experimental weapon that might or might not work. "So-min, find Corporal Lee Junwoo. Bring him to briefing room 2. "Yes, sir." While Kim walked through the bunker quarters. Wounded soldiers lay on stretchers along the walls. Addicts worked to save who they could. The air smelled of smoke and blood every few seconds. The bunker shook from another explosion above. He found Junwoo in the communications center, trying to fix a broken radio. The young man looked up when Kim entered. His uniform was dirty and torn. His face showed exhaustion. "But no fear, Corporal. I need to speak with you." "Yes, sir. I almost have this radio working. We might be able to contact the evacuation ships." "Leave it. Come with me." They walked to the briefing room in silence. Kim sealed the door and activated the sound dampeners. No one could listen to this conversation. "Junwoo, how long have you been in the service?" 2 years, sir. Started right after the war began. Family back on Earth? My parents? My sister Heejin? She's studying to be a doctor." Kim nodded. This made it harder. Men with families were harder to send to die. "I'm going to tell you about a mission. After you hear the details, you can choose to accept or refuse. No one will think less of you if you say no. Kim explained Operation Last Light. He told Junwoo about the insertion pod and the long journey to Vorthok Prime. He explained about the resonance disruptor and what the scientists hoped it would do. He did not lie about the chances of survival. Junwoo listened without speaking. When Kim finished, the young man sat quietly for several minutes. "Sir, what happens if I don't go?" "The war ends in about a week. Humanity becomes extinct. If I do go, probably the same thing, but maybe not." "Maybe. You find a way to hurt them. Maybe you buy us time to find another solution." Junwoo stood up and walked to the small window. Through the thick glass, he could see smoke rising from the burning city. "I'm not a hero, sir. I fix radios. I'm not brave like the Marines, or smart, like the pilots. Sometimes the best heroes are the ones who don't think they're heroes. My sister wanted to save lives as a doctor. I guess this is how I save lives." Junwoo turned back to Kim. "I'll do it, sir. When do I leave?" Kim felt proud and sad at the same time. Proud of this young man's courage. Sad that he was sending him to die. 1 hour. The pod is already loaded on Launcher 3. The navigation computer has the course plotted to Vorthok Prime. The trip will take about 6 weeks in hyperspace. You'll be in cryosleep most of the way. What about the weapon? How does it work? Honestly, we don't know. Some kind of crystal device. Our scientists built it based on energy readings from captured Vorthok equipment. They think it will interfere with their bioneural networks. You just need to get it to their capital city and activate it. They spent the next hour going over the mission details. The insertion pod was small and cramped. It had just enough life support for the journey and basic stealth systems to avoid enemy detection. If everything went perfectly, Junwoo would crash land near the Vorthok capital and have maybe 6 hours before they found him. When it was time, they walked to the launch bay. Salman was there with a small team of technicians. They had loaded the resonance disruptor into the pod's cargo bay. It looked like a piece of blue crystal about the size of a football. "Remember," Kim told Junwoo, "activated in the most populated area you can find. Bigger the signal, the better chance it will work." Junwoo climbed into the pod. The technicians sealed the hatch and ran their final checks. Kim gave the launch order. The pod shot out of the underground launcher and disappeared into the smoky sky. Within minutes, it had cleared the planet's atmosphere and jumped into hyperspace. Kim watched the launch display until the pod's signal vanished. Somewhere in the distance, another explosion shook the bunker. "Sir," Soman said softly, "evacuation ships are asking for permission to land. The remaining civilian population is ready for pickup." "Granted. Get everyone off this planet. We've done all we can here." As the evacuation began, Kim wondered if he would ever know what happened to Junwoo. Probably not. The young man was traveling alone into the heart of enemy space with an untested weapon and almost no chance of success. But he was traveling with something else. He was traveling with humanity's hope, sometimes Kim thought. That might be enough. The last evacuation ship lifted off just as the Vorthok ground forces reached the bunker. Kim and his remaining soldiers fought a rearguard action to buy the civilians time to escape. When the final transport cleared the atmosphere, they surrendered. The war for Kepler 442b was over. The war for humanity's survival was just beginning. And somewhere in the void between stars, a young communications technician carried their last desperate chance for victory. Cold darkness surrounded Lee Junwoo when he opened his eyes. The cryosleep chamber hissed as it released the frozen air around his body. His muscles felt stiff and weak. His throat was dry like sandpaper. A small screen next to his head showed green lights. The journey was complete. Junwoo pulled himself out of the sleep chamber and looked around the tiny pod. Everything was exactly as he remembered it 6 weeks ago. The resonance disruptor sat in its protective case. Its equipment bag was still strapped to the wall. The navigation computer blinked with arrival data. "Computer, what is our status?" he asked. "Arrival at Vorthok Prime confirmed. Current position is high orbit. Stealth systems are active. No enemy detection signals recorded." Junwoo moved to the pilot seat and looked out the small window. The planet below was huge and gray. Dark clouds covered most of its surface. He could see the lights of cities through breaks in the cloud layer. Millions of enemy aliens lived down there. Soon he would be among them. Computer, begin descent sequence. Target the coordinates for the capital city. Warning. Atmospheric. Entry will likely damage stealth systems. Enemy detection becomes probable after hull breach. I understand. Begin descent. The pod shook as it entered the planet's atmosphere. Junwoo watched the altitude readings drop quickly. 20 kilometers. 15. 10. The pod's hull began to glow, red hot from friction with the alien air. Then the stealth system failed. Alarms started ringing inside the cramped cockpit. Warning, stealth field collapsed. Enemy sensors are now detecting this vessel. Through the window, Junwoo saw bright flashes in the sky around him. The Vorthok were shooting at his pod with energy weapons. Most of the shots missed, but one beam hit the pod's left side. The cabin filled with smoke. Computer, can we reach the target zone? Negative. Recommend emergency landing in Industrial Sector 7. Distance to target zone is 12 kilometers. Junwoo gripped the control stick as the pod spun toward the ground. 12 kilometers was not too far to walk. If he survived the landing, the pod crashed through the roof of a large building and smashed into the floor below. Junwoo's safety harness kept him alive, but his head hit the instrument panel. Hard. Blood ran down his face as he unbuckled himself from the pilot's seat. He grabbed the resonance disruptor case and his equipment bag. The pod's hull was cracked and smoking. He needed to get away before enemy soldiers arrived. Junwoo kicked open the emergency hatch and climbed out of the wreckage. He was inside some kind of factory. Strange machines lined the walls. The air smelled like metal and chemicals. Through the broken roof above, he could hear aircraft engines getting closer. He ran toward the back of the building and found a service door. The lock was electronic, but his tools from the communications unit worked on alien systems too. Within minutes, he had the door open. The street outside was crowded with Vorthok aliens. They were taller than humans, with gray skin and 4 arms. Most wore simple work clothes. They looked tired and scared. When they saw the human emerge from the building, they backed away quickly. But they did not scream or call for help. They just watched him with large, dark eyes. Junwoo tried to blend into the crowd as he walked down the street. His human appearance made this impossible, but the worker aliens seemed more curious than hostile. Some even moved aside to let him pass. The architecture around him was strange. The buildings were tall and curved, made from some kind of dark metal. Signs in alien writing covered the walls. The street itself was too wide for humans, but perfect for beings with 4 arms. After walking for 10 minutes, Junwoo heard a commotion. Behind him, military vehicles were surrounding the crash site. Soldiers in heavy armor were searching the area. He needed to find a hiding place soon. An alien worker approached him. This one was smaller than the others, with lighter gray skin. Junwoo tensed, ready to run or fight. But the alien just pointed to a side alley and made gesturing motions with all 4 arms. It was trying to help him hide. Junwoo followed the alien into the narrow alley. They climbed down a maintenance ladder into the underground tunnels beneath the city. The alien led him through a maze of pipes and cables to a small chamber lit by blue emergency lights. Other worker aliens were already there. About 20 of them sat in a circle, talking in low voices. When Junwoo entered, they all became quiet. One of the aliens stepped forward. This one looked older than the others. Scars covered its arms and face. When it spoke, the words came out in broken but understandable human language. "You are the human from the sky ship. We saw you fall from above." Junwoo was amazed. "You speak my language?" "Some of us learn human words from captured transmissions. We listen to your people talk during battles. We know you fight the masters like we do." "The masters? The warrior caste, the nobles. They rule this world. We work, we serve, we die when they command it." Junwoo looked around at the group of aliens. They all had the same tired expression. The same hopeless look he had seen in human faces during the worst days of the war. You fight against your own people? Not our people, our owners. We are property of the warrior caste, born to serve, live to work, die when broken. The old alien sat down on a metal crate. The others gathered closer. But some of us remember. Stories. Old stories from before the masters took control. Stories of freedom. Junwoo set down his equipment bag and opened it. Inside were his communication tools, some food, and weapons. The alien stared at the human technology with fascination. Are you helping me? Enemy of the masters is friend to us? You come here to hurt them? Yes? Junwoo thought about his mission. Plant the resonance disruptor in the capital city. Activate it to shut down Vorthok technology. Maybe buy humanity a few more days of life. But looking at these oppressed aliens, he began to understand something new. The Vorthok Empire was not united. There were rulers and slaves, just like in human history. Maybe the device could do more than just shut down their ships. I have a weapon, he said slowly. It is designed to interfere with your technology. But I need to get to the capital city center. Very dangerous. Many warrior patrols. Much security. I have to try. My people are dying. The old alien was quiet for several minutes. Then it spoke to the others, in their own language. They argued back and forth for a while. Finally, the old one turned back to Jun-Woo, double quotes, we help you reach city center. But first you help us understand your weapon. Maybe it can free our people. 2. Junwoo opened the case containing the resonance disruptor. The blue crystal inside gave off a soft glow. The aliens gasped when they saw it. Our scientists built this to shut down bioneural networks. That is how your technology works, right? Living circuits connected to computer systems? Yes. All our machines use bioneural control. The masters use same technology to control us. Junwoo felt his heart racing. The implications were enormous. If the device could break the control systems that kept these aliens enslaved, it could start a revolution on the Vorthok homeworld. But it would also mean changing his mission. Instead of just striking at enemy technology, he would be helping to start a civil war among the Vorthok themselves. Show me your control systems, he said. Maybe we can figure out how to use this thing to help both our peoples. The old alien smiled. It was the first time Junwoo had seen hope in any Vorthok face. Come, we show you many things about our world, things the masters do not want anyone to know. As they prepared to leave the underground chamber, Junwoo realized his mission had become much more complicated. He was no longer just a human soldier carrying a weapon into enemy territory. He had become the spark that might ignite a rebellion. That could change everything. Above them, search aircraft continued to hunt for the crashed human pod. Below ground, an unlikely alliance was forming between a communications technician from Earth and a group of alien rebels who had been waiting centuries for someone to show them how to break their chains. The resonance disruptor hummed softly. In its case, as if it somehow knew that its purpose was about to change the fate of two worlds. The old alien led Lee Junwoo through dark tunnels beneath the Vorthok capital city. Water dripped from pipes above their heads. Strange blue lights provided just enough illumination to see the path ahead. Behind them, 20 worker caste aliens followed in silence. My name is Kilthaner, the old alien said as they walked. I have been fighting the masters for 40 of your human years. My father fought before me, his father before him, always losing, always hiding. Junwoo carried the resonance disruptor case carefully. The weapon inside might be the key to ending this ancient struggle, but he still did not fully understand how it worked. Tell me about the neural control systems, he said. How do the masters control your people? Kilthaner stopped walking and turned to face him. She lifted her gray hair to show the back of her neck. A small metal device was embedded. In her skin there, all the other aliens had the same implant. Control nodes, installed when we were born. They make us obey commands from the warrior caste. They stop us from feeling anger toward the masters. They make us happy to work until we die. But you seem free now. You can think for yourself. Some of us learn to resist. Very few, maybe 1 in 10,000. The rest live like machines that eat and sleep. They continued through the tunnels. Junwoo saw maintenance areas, storage chambers, and living spaces carved into the rock. Thousands of worker aliens live down here, hidden from their rulers above. This is our secret city, Kilthaner explained. The masters do not know it exists. We built it over many generations. Workers who could resist the control nodes came here to hide. How many of you are there? In this city, maybe 50,000? In the whole world, we do not know. Perhaps millions of workers have some resistance to the nodes. But most are too afraid to try? They entered a large cavern filled with alien technology. Junwoo recognized some of the equipment from human intelligence reports. Communication arrays, power generators, and computer systems all connected together in a complex network. We steal technology from the masters, Kilthaner said. We learn how their systems work. We listen to their communications. All we know about the war with your people. What do you know about the war? The masters say humans are primitive. They say conquering your worlds will be easy. But we hear the truth in their private messages. Your people fight harder than they expected. You destroy many of their ships. Junwoo felt a surge of pride. Even losing the war, humanity was making the enemy pay a heavy price. But the masters have bigger fleets coming, Kilthaner continued. They plan to attack your homeworld soon. After that, they will move on to other star systems. Always expanding, always conquering. Why do they need to expand? This planet seems large enough. Our world is dying. The masters used up all the resources fighting wars across the galaxy. The soil is poisoned. The oceans are polluted. The air grows thinner each year. They must find new worlds or face extinction. Junwoo began to understand the bigger picture. The Vorthok were not evil conquerors. They were desperate refugees looking for a new home, but their methods were still wrong, had no right to destroy other species to save themselves. Show me how the control nodes work, he said. Kilthaner led him to a workstation covered with electronic equipment. Several worker aliens were examining a control node they had removed from a dead comrade. The nodes connect to the brain through bioneural fibers, she explained. They can read thoughts and emotions. They can also send signals that change how we think and feel. Junwoo studied the device carefully. His communications training helped him understand the basic principles. The node was like a biological radio that could transmit and receive signals from a central control system. In the high tower at the center of the capital city, all the nodes on the planet connect to computers. There, the warrior caste uses it to manage the entire worker population. If we could shut down that central system, would it free all the workers? Maybe. Or maybe it would kill them. The nodes are connected to brain tissue. Sudden disconnection might cause death. Junwoo opened the resonance disruptor case and showed the blue crystal to the assembled aliens. They gathered around it with fascination and fear. This device was designed to disrupt bioneural networks. Our scientists built it to shut down your ships and weapons. Maybe we can modify it to safely disconnect the control nodes instead. You would do this for us? Help free our people instead of helping your own? Junwoo thought about his mission. He was supposed to plant the device in the capital and activate it to help Earth's forces. But Earth's forces might already be destroyed. The message from Admiral Chen had said the enemy fleet was only days away from Earth. By now, the final battle might already be over. But even if Earth survived, humanity would never be truly safe while the Vorthok Empire existed. Other species would suffer the same fate as humans unless someone stopped the cycle of conquest and slavery. I want to help both our peoples, he said finally. But I need to understand the technology better. Can you help me study the control systems? For the next several hours, Junwoo worked with the alien rebels to analyze their stolen equipment. His technical skills proved valuable as he learned to interface human technology with Vorthok systems. The rebels provided detailed information about their society and government. The Vorthok homeworld had a strict hierarchy. The warrior caste ruled from the capital city. Below them were the administrator caste who managed day-to-day operations. At the bottom were the worker caste who did all the manual labor and manufacturing. The control nodes kept this system stable, right, by preventing workers from questioning their place in society. They felt content with their servitude and never dreamed of rebellion. But what happens when workers die? Junwoo asked. The administrators breed new ones. Workers are property, like livestock. They exist only to serve the upper castes. This information made Junwoo angry. No thinking being should be treated as property. The worker aliens were intelligent and creative. They had built this hidden city and stolen advanced technology from their masters. Given freedom, they could accomplish amazing things. Idea, he said after studying the resonance disruptor for hours. Instead of one massive activation that might kill everyone, we could modify the device to send a gradual signal, slowly weaken the control nodes over time. Give the workers a chance to adapt as their minds become free. How long would this take? Maybe several days. The process would start in the capital city and spread outward. Workers closest to the device would be freed first. They could help us protect the device while it affects others. Kilthaner discussed this plan with the other rebels in their own language. The conversation became heated at times. Some aliens seemed excited about the possibility. Others looked worried about the risks. Finally, she turned back to Junwoo. We agree to try your plan. But first, we must get you to the high tower. The device needs to be placed near the central control computers for maximum effect. How do we get there? You said the security was heavy? There are maintenance tunnels that go to every building in the city. The masters never think about the workers who keep their systems running. We are invisible to them. When do we start? Tomorrow night. But first, you should rest. And you should know something else. What? We intercepted a message from your people today. A battle is happening in your solar system right now. Your homeworld is under attack. Junwoo felt his heart sink. Was fighting for its life while he was thousands of light years away. His family, his friends, everyone he had ever known might already be dead. Did the message say who was winning? The battle is not finished. But your people are fighting with great courage. Ships commanded by someone called Kim Tae-ho are holding the line near your outer planets. Junwoo smiled despite his worry. Commander Kim had survived the fall of Kepler 44b. If anyone could organize humanity's final defense, it was him. Then, we need to move quickly, Junwoo said. If we can start a rebellion here, it might confuse the Vorthok fleet. Maybe give Earth a chance to survive. That night, as he tried to sleep on a simple bed in the underground city, Junwoo thought about the choice he was making. His original mission was to strike at enemy technology and retreat. Now he was planning to start a revolution that would change an entire world. But sometimes the best way to help your friends was to turn their enemies into allies. If the worker caste could overthrow their masters, the Vorthok Empire would collapse from within. No more wars of conquest. No more slavery. No more threats to Earth or any other world. It was a dangerous plan with little chance of success. It was also the right thing to do. Sometimes doing the right thing was more important than following orders. Tomorrow night, he would find out if one human communications technician and a group of alien rebels could change the fate of the galaxy. Lee Junwoo crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel behind Kilthaner. The metal walls were barely wide enough for his human frame. Behind him, 6 alien rebels carried tools and equipment for the mission. The resonance disruptor was strapped to his back in its protective case. They had been crawling for 2 hours. The tunnel system beneath the capital city was like a maze. Only the worker caste knew all the passages. The warrior masters had built their city without thinking about the invisible servants who kept it running. We are close now, Kilthaner whispered. The high tower is directly above us. Through grates in the tunnel floor, Junwoo could see parts of the tower's lower levels. Warrior caste aliens in ornate armor walked through marble hallways. Their movements were confident and commanding.
Ow.
These were the rulers of a galactic empire. How do we get inside without being seen? Service elevator. Carry supplies too. The upper floors, the warriors never use it. They have their own transport systems. Kilthaner opened a hidden panel in the tunnel wall. Beyond it was a small chamber with a freight elevator. The rebels quickly loaded their equipment and squeezed. Into the cramped space, the elevator moved upward silently. Junwoo watched the floor numbers change on the display. The central control room was on the 70th floor near the top of the tower. As they rose higher, he could feel his heart beating faster. They stopped at floor 68. Kilthaner opened the elevator doors carefully and looked out. The hallway was empty except for a few worker-caste aliens carrying cleaning supplies. She motioned for the group to follow her. The workers they passed did not react to seeing Junwoo. Their faces showed no curiosity or surprise. The neural control nodes kept them focused only on their assigned tasks. They were like living robots. 2 floors up, Kilthaner said as they climbed a service stairway. The control room has minimal security. The masters believe no one would dare attack it. But when they reached the 70th floor, they found the hallway blocked by security barriers. Red warning lights flashed above sealed doors. Armed warrior guards patrolled the area. Something is wrong, one of the rebels said in their native language. Kilthaner spoke quietly with her companions. Their expressions grew worried. There's been a change in security, she told Junwoo. Maybe they detected your crashed pod. Maybe they know about the missing human. Through a window, Junwoo could see into the central control room. Massive computers lined the walls. Technician-caste aliens monitored screens showing data from across the planet. This was the nerve center that controlled millions of enslaved workers. Can we find another way in? Yes, but it will take hours. And more guards are coming. Junwoo opened the resonance disruptor case and studied the blue crystal device. According to his calculations, it needed to be within 50 meters of the central computers to work properly. They were close enough, but the walls of the building would weaken the signal. I have a different idea, he said. What if we don't need to get inside the control room? Explain. The neural control system uses radio waves to communicate with the implants, right? If I can access the building's communication array, I can broadcast the disruptor signal through their own network. Kilthaner. His eyes brightened with understanding. The communication array is on the roof. Less security up there. But there's another problem. The device only has enough power for 3, or 4 uses. Each activation burns out part of the crystal matrix. If I use it wrong, we might not get a second chance. This was the hardest part of the plan. Junwoo had to make critical decisions without fully understanding the technology he was using. One mistake could waste their only opportunity to free the worker caste. They climbed to the roof through a maintenance ladder. The communication array was a forest of antennas and satellite dishes. In the distance, Junwoo could see the lights of the sprawling alien city. Somewhere down there, millions of enslaved beings waited for freedom they didn't even know they wanted. Help me connect the disruptor to their transmission system, he said, working together. They rigged cables between the human device and the Vorthok communication equipment. Junwoo used his technical knowledge to match signal frequencies and power levels. It was like trying to tune a radio in a foreign language. As they worked, Kilthaner received a message on her stolen communication device. Her face became grim. As she listened, "What is it? News from your solar system? The battle for your homeworld has begun? Many ships on both sides have been destroyed." Junwoo felt a cold knot in his stomach. While he was trying to free alien slaves, his own people were fighting for survival. His family might already be dead. Is there any word about the outcome? The battle continues. Your commander, Kim Tae-ho, is leading the defense. His forces are outnumbered, but fighting bravely. Junwoo finished connecting the last cable. The resonance disruptor was now linked to the tower's communication system. When activated, it would send its signal to every neural control implant on the planet. But he faced a terrible choice. The device could be used in 2 different ways. A quick, powerful burst might shut down the control nodes immediately, but could kill millions of workers whose brains were dependent on the implants. A slower, gentler signal would take days to complete, but would give the workers time to adapt as their minds became free. The slow method was safer for the Vorthok workers. But it might take too long to help Earth. If he could shut down the entire planet quickly, it might confuse the enemy fleet enough to give humanity a chance. "How long until the Vorthok fleet reaches your home world?" he asked. "According to intercepted messages, maybe 2 days." 2 days was not enough time for a gradual liberation. If he wanted to help Earth, he had to risk killing millions of innocent workers. Junwoo looked out over the alien city below. In the buildings and factories, enslaved beings worked without knowing they were slaves. They had been robbed of their freedom, their dreams, their very ability to think for themselves. But they were still living beings. They deserved a chance at freedom, not death. He made his choice. "I'm going to use the gradual setting. It will take longer, but it won't kill anyone, even if it means your people might lose the war. Even then, we don't save humanity by becoming monsters ourselves." Junwoo activated the resonance disruptor on its lowest power setting. The blue crystal began to glow brighter. Energy flowed through the cables into the communication array. Across the planet, the first subtle signals began. Reaching neural control implants? The effect would not be immediate. It would take hours for workers to notice changes in their thinking, days for the full liberation to complete. But it was the right choice. As the device worked, alarms began sounding throughout the tower. Security forces had detected the unauthorized transmission. Warrior guards were already climbing toward the roof. "We need to protect the device until the process finishes," Junwoo said. "How long can we hold this position?" "Not long. Maybe an hour before they overwhelm us. Then we need to find a way to extend the transmission." "Can you contact your people in the underground city?" "Yes." "What do you want them to do? Build more transmitters? Copy this signal and broadcast it from multiple locations? If they destroy one transmitter, others can continue the work." Kilthaner began sending urgent messages to the rebel network. Across the city, hidden workshops started building crude but effective signal repeaters. The liberation signal would spread like a virus. Through the communication networks, the first guards reached the roof. They were surprised to find humans and rebel workers together. They quickly opened fire with energy weapons. Jun-Woo and the rebels took cover behind the communication equipment. They had brought weapons, but they were outgunned and outnumbered. This was going to be a desperate last stand. But as they fought, something amazing began to happen in the city below. The first workers affected by the resonance signals started to change. Their faces showed confusion as foreign thoughts entered their minds, then wonder, and anger as they realized what had been done to them. In factories and warehouses across the capital, newly awakened workers began to turn against their overseers. The revolution was starting, slowly but surely, on the roof of the high tower. Junwoo smiled despite the energy bolts flying around him. He had kept his promise to both species. Earth might still fall, but the Vorthok Empire was about to tear itself apart from within. The price of freedom was always high, but some prices were worth paying. Energy bolts flew across the rooftop as Lee Junwoo crouched behind the communication array. The resonance disruptor continued its work, sending liberation signals across the planet. But Vorthok warrior guards were closing in from all sides. Much longer does the device need? Kilthaner shouted over the sound of weapons fire. Junwoo checked the crystal's power levels. At least 6 more hours for full planetary coverage. But the signal is already reaching the nearest districts. Through the chaos of battle, they could hear new sounds from the city below. Explosions, sirens, shouting voices. The worker rebellion was spreading faster than anyone had expected. A warrior guard rounded the corner of the rooftop structure, his 4 arms holding different weapons. Junwoo shot him with his stolen energy pistol before the alien could fire. The guard fell backward with a cry of surprise. "More coming up the stairs," one of the rebels warned. "Maybe 20 guards this time." The situation was hopeless. They had 6 fighters against an entire military garrison, even if they held out for another hour. Reinforcements would eventually overwhelm them. But then something unexpected happened. The service elevator opened and more aliens stepped onto the roof. Junwoo raised his weapon, expecting more enemies. Instead, he saw worker-caste aliens carrying improvised weapons. Their faces showed emotions he had never seen before in their species. Anger, determination, hope. Workers from the lower floors, Kilthaner explained with amazement. The signal reached them first. They came to help us. The newly freed workers spread out across the rooftop, taking defensive positions. They were not trained soldiers, but they outnumbered the remaining guards. More importantly, they were fighting for something they had just discovered: their own freedom. The battle continued for another hour. Warrior guards tried repeatedly to retake the roof, but the liberated workers held them back. Some rebels fell, but others took their places. The revolution was becoming self-sustaining. Meanwhile, across the planet, similar scenes played out in every major city. As the resonance signals spread outward from the capital, millions of worker caste aliens felt their minds clear for the first time in their lives. The neural control implants that had kept them docile became silent. In the industrial districts, workers turned on their overseers. The military bases, support staff sabotaged equipment and freed prisoners. In the government buildings, clerk caste aliens deleted important files and opened restricted areas to rebels. The warrior caste tried to respond, but they faced an impossible situation. Their entire civilization depended on enslaved labor. When the slaves became free, the system collapsed instantly. "Incoming transmission," Kilthaner said, listening to her communication device. From the space fleet above the planet, she translated. "The message for Junwoo. The fleet commanders are confused. They receive conflicting orders. Some ships are trying to bombard rebel areas. Others have been taken over by their own worker crew members." This was exactly what Junwoo had hoped for. The Vorthok war machine was tearing itself apart from within. Every ship, every base, every installation depended on worker caste labor. As those workers became free, they turned against their masters. But the best news came an hour later. "Message from space," a rebel technician announced. "The Vorthok fleet attacking your home system has stopped fighting. Many ships are retreating. Others are fighting each other." Junwoo felt tears in his eyes. The liberation signal had somehow reached across interstellar space, affecting Vorthok forces throughout their empire. Its ships that had been about to destroy Earth were now crippled by internal rebellion. "Commander Kim Taeho's forces are counterattacking," the technician continued. "They are winning battles against confused enemy ships. The plan had worked better than anyone could have imagined. By freeing the enslaved workers, Junwoo had destroyed the Vorthok Empire's ability to wage war. Their fleets were paralyzed. Their bases were in revolt. Their home world was consumed by revolution. As the sun set over the alien capital, the sounds of battle began to fade. The warrior caste was either dead, captured, or in hiding.
The administrator caste had mostly surrendered.
Or joined the rebellion. For the first time in centuries, the worker caste controlled their own destiny. Kilthaner stood beside Junwoo, at the edge of the rooftop. The city below was lit by fires, but they were not the fires of destruction. They were celebration fires. Built by free beings who wanted to mark the end of their slavery. "What happens now?" Junwoo asked. "Now we build something new. A society where all castes are equal, where no one owns another being, where freedom is protected. It will not be easy. Your people have been slaves for so long, they may not know how to be free. We will learn. We have good teachers now." She gestured toward the human communications technician who had traveled across the galaxy to bring them hope. "I should try to contact my people," Junwoo said. "Let them know what happened here." He began broadcasting on human communication frequencies. It took several hours, but finally he received a response. Commander Kim Taeho's voice crackled through the static. "Junwoo, is that really you? We thought you were dead." "I am alive. Sir, the mission was successful. The Vorthok Empire is collapsing. We know. Their fleet suddenly stopped fighting and started fighting each other. Half their ships have surrendered. The other half are trying to get home." "What did you do over there?" Junwoo explained about the resonance disruptor and the liberation of the worker caste. He told Kim about Kilthaner and the rebels who had helped him reach the capital. "He started a revolution that saved humanity," Kim said with wonder in his voice. "Earth is safe. The colonies are being liberated. The war is over. What about casualties? How many people did we lose? Too many. But far fewer than we would have lost without your mission. You gave us hope when we had given up all hope. As the communication ended, Junwoo looked out over the alien city. Free workers were already organizing themselves, cleaning up damage and planning for the future. The transformation from slaves to citizens was happening faster than anyone had thought possible. But the greatest change was in their faces. Where once there had been empty obedience, now there was curiosity, creativity, and joy. The worker caste was discovering what it meant to be truly alive. The resonance disruptor had finished its work. The crystal was dark and cracked, its power completely spent, but its effect would last forever. Millions of beings had been given the greatest gift possible, the freedom to choose their own path. Junwoo knew he could go home now. Earth was safe. Humanity had survived. But looking at Kilthaner and her people, he realized he had found something more important than victory. He had found a cause worth living for. 3 months had passed since the liberation of Vorthok Prime. Lee. Junwoo stood in what had once been the High Tower's control room. Now it served as the coordination center for the new provisional government. Former slaves worked alongside former newest administrators to rebuild their shattered world. Kilthaner entered the room carrying a stack of reports. She had been elected as the first speaker for the Worker Assembly, the new democratic body that governed the planet. Good news from the outer colonies, she said. The liberation signal reached the mining worlds in the Kepler system. 2 million more workers are now free. Junwoo smiled. The resonance effect had continued spreading through Vorthok communication networks long after the original device burned out. Every time freed workers contacted enslaved ones, the signal of freedom propagated further. Any word from the remaining? Warrior strongholds? Most have surrendered. The few that resist are cut off from supplies and support. Their own workers have abandoned them. Through the tall windows, Junwoo could see the transformed capital city. The gray industrial districts had been painted with bright colors. Parks were being built where weapons factories once stood. Former slaves walked freely through streets that had been forbidden to them, but the most amazing sight was the children. Young Vorthok, who had never known neural control, were growing up free. They played games, asked questions, and dreamed of futures their parents could never have imagined. Incoming transmission from Earth, a communications technician announced. It is addressed to Corporal Lee Junwoo. The main screen activated to show Admiral Park So-min, who had been promoted to head of Earth's new Interstellar Defense Command. Behind her, Junwoo could see the blue skies and green hills of his home world. Junwoo, it's good to see you alive and well. How are things on Vorthok Prime?
Better than expected, Admiral.
The transition to democracy is proceeding smoothly. The different castes are learning to work together. Excellent. I have some news from our end. Commander Kim Tae-ho sends his regards. He's leading the effort to establish diplomatic relations with the liberated Vorthok colonies. How is the reconstruction going on Earth? Faster than we hoped. It helps that we're not fighting a war anymore. The former Vorthok territories are providing resources and technology in exchange for assistance. With their own rebuilding? Admiral Park paused and looked directly at the camera. Junwoo, I have an official message from Earth's government. You are being awarded the Star of Valor, our highest military decoration. More importantly, you're being offered a commission. As a full colonel in command of the new Interstellar Liberation Corps, what is the Liberation Corps? A joint human-alien military unit dedicated to freeing oppressed peoples throughout the galaxy. Your mission on Vorthok Prime has inspired similar liberation movements on dozens of worlds. Species that have been enslaved for centuries are rising up against their oppressors. Junwoo felt a surge of pride mixed with concern. Are we starting new wars? Oh, we're ending old ones. Most of these liberation movements are peaceful. Oppressor species usually surrender when they realize their slaves have become organized and unified. The mere threat of liberation signals is enough to bring tyrants to the negotiating table. What would my role be in this course? Whatever you want it to be. You understand both the technical and psychological aspects of liberation better than anyone. You could train other operatives, develop new technologies, or lead missions to free enslaved worlds. Before Junwoo could respond, Kilthaner stepped forward. Admiral Park, this is Kilthaner, Speaker of the Vorthok Worker Assembly. We would like to contribute to this Liberation Corps as well. Many of our people want to help free others as they were freed. That would be wonderful. Former slaves often make the best liberators. They understand what freedom means. Junwoo looked around the control room at the beings who had become his friends and allies. These aliens had taught him that enemies could become family if he took the time to understand them. I accept the commission, he said finally. But I want to base the cores here on Vorthok Prime. This is where the liberation began. It should remain the symbol of what's possible when oppressed people work together. Agreed. We'll establish the headquarters in the capital city. What do you plan to call it? Kilthaner spoke up. Hope Center. Because hope is the weapon tyrants fear most. Over the following weeks, beings from across the galaxy traveled to Vorthok Prime. Former slaves, escaped prisoners, and refugees from 100 different worlds came to join the Liberation Corps. They brought stories of oppression and dreams of freedom. The Corps developed new technologies based on the resonance disruptor principle. Instead of crude weapons that broke neural control implants, they created sophisticated devices that could safely free enslaved minds without causing physical damage. They also developed new strategies. Rather than violent revolution, they promoted education, communication, and gradual awakening. Oppressed peoples were taught to organize themselves and demand their rights through peaceful means. The first major success came 6 months after the Corps was established. An entire star system declared independence from its ruling empire after workers across 12 planets coordinated a galaxy-wide strike. Not a single shot was fired. Similar victories followed. Ancient slave markets were shut down. Prison worlds were transformed into free colonies. Species that had known only servitude for millennia learned to govern themselves. But the most important victory was cultural. The galaxy began to change its fundamental assumptions about power and freedom. The idea that some beings were naturally meant to serve others became unthinkable. Years passed. Junwoo aged from a young communications technician into a respected leader known throughout the galaxy. He married a human diplomat named Kim, and settled permanently on Vorthok Prime. Their children grew up speaking both human and Vorthok languages, symbols of the new era of cooperation. Kilthaner became the first elected president of the Vorthok Republic. Under her leadership, the former empire transformed into a democratic federation that protected the rights of all citizens regardless of their original caste. Commander Kim Tae-ho established the Terran Diplomatic Service and spent his career building alliances with former enemy species. Admiral Park So-min oversaw the expansion of human space exploration. But now humans traveled as friends and partners rather than conquerors. On the 10th anniversary of liberation, a great celebration was held on Vorthok Prime. Representatives from 200 worlds gathered in the capital city to honor the revolution that had changed everything. Jun-Woo stood before the assembled crowd and delivered the keynote speech. He spoke about the power of individual action to create massive change. He talked about hope as humanity's greatest export. Most importantly, he reminded everyone that freedom was not a gift to be given, but a right to be claimed. Damn. 10 years ago? He said, I was just a communications technician who volunteered for what seemed like a suicide mission. I never imagined that fixing radios and understanding alien technology would lead to the liberation of entire civilizations. The crowd listened in respectful silence as he continued. But I learned something important on that journey. Heroes are not born special. Heroes are ordinary people who refuse to accept injustice. Anyone in this audience could do what I did. If they have the courage to try, he gestured toward the mixed crowd of humans, Vorthok, and dozens of other species. Look around you, former enemies sitting together as friends. Former slaves now leading their own governments. Former warriors now protecting the innocent instead of oppressing them. This is what's possible when we choose hope over hatred. The speech was broadcast across the galaxy and translated into hundreds of languages. On worlds where oppression still existed, enslaved beings heard Junwoo's words and began to organize. On free worlds, Citizens recommitted themselves to protecting liberty for all. In schools throughout human space, children learned about the communications technician who had saved humanity by freeing its enemies. They were taught that the greatest victories came not from defeating opponents but from turning them into allies. The story of Li Junwu became a legend. But it was a legend with a practical message. One person's refusal to surrender could change the fate of the galaxy. Hope was indeed the weapon tyrants feared most, and across the stars, in languages both familiar and alien, freed beings told their children the same story. They spoke of the human who had taught them that no oppression lasts forever. If someone is willing to strike the first blow for freedom, the echo of that first liberation signal continued to spread, carried not by technology, but by the simple human idea that all thinking beings deserve to choose their own destiny. It was a message that would resonate across the galaxy for generations to come.